Waiting. Yes, there we are. Hello, wrestling fans. YouTube, Facebook group, We Can't Wrestle Live is on the air every Sunday night at 10:30. Nate and Chris are here with you. Kyle has the coronavirus, so he will not be with us this evening.
That's why we drink American.
That's right. I don't know what's actually up with Kyle, but he's feeling under the weather tonight, so he will not be with us. But Mr. Chris Wood has joined me. Welcome, Chris. What's going on out there here in northwestern Ohio where it's unseasonably warm?
It's that unseasonably warm to where the sun comes up and blinds you to where you go outside and your retinas catch on fire from all the reflection.
Facebook group, We Can't Wrestle. Whoa, what is going on there? Hey. All right. SB Ace is here. He says, what's up? What's up, SB Ace? How's it going out there? We're going to talk about a lot of things this week. And I just want to start by saying, yes, I'm going to watch WrestleMania. Yes, every single week, I'm going to continue to watch Raw. Yes, every single week, I'm going to continue to suffer through SmackDown because I am an addict.
But we're going to bitch about it the whole time.
That's right, because I am also a fan who loves wrestling, and wants to see wrestling be what we all know it can be. This week was a bad week. I think this week was a terrible week. I've been bitching on Facebook all week. I've been moaning, complaining. I'm old man screaming at the clouds, whatever you want to call it. So we'll get the bitching out of the way. Should we just start with Super Showdown? Oh, by the way, this week also proved no wrestling promotion on the planet right now, or no Major League Wrestling promotion other than the NWA knows how to book a heel world champion. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start with Showdown, though.
Yes.
I will explain my post that I did yesterday. In case you guys were wondering with the whole Back to the Future type thing. It took Vince McMahon and his creative team 4 minutes and 29 seconds to throw the company back 17 years. Seriously, both championship matches on Super Showdown combined bell to bell were 4 minutes and 29 seconds.
And they didn't do anybody any good. Any good. Oh, Archie has started a "We Want Kyle" chant.
We do too, but
I'll give you a health update. Go ahead, Chris.
Put it in retrospect. Friday Night SmackDown with the opening promo. It took Roman Reigns 3 minutes and just shy of 57 seconds to come to the ring, say "I'm next," and leave the ring. He was roughly 30 seconds shy of 2 championship matches the night before.
Yes.
To say 2 words.
And it was evident even on Raw this week. You know, you look at the opening segment of Raw with Owens and Orton, which was 17 minutes long. And I don't remember how long their match was, but I know their match wasn't 17 minutes long. So to get to the match, which, by the way, I guess guys in wrestling just make their matches now. There's no authority figures whatsoever. Nobody's in charge. These guys just come out and say, "Hey, I want to fight you tonight." And they're like, "I want to fight you tonight." And then the TV producers are just like, "You know what? We'll make time for this match. These guys want to fight each other."
I thought the same thing Friday with the whole female thing where the ref was like, "This is a tag team match." And I was like, wow, Teddy Long got a sex change.
Everybody just does whatever they want now. That's fine. We'll just do that. But as far as Super Showdown goes, I am wholly disappointed in the fact I expected what I got. I got what I expected, I should say, out of Ricochet and Brock Lesnar. I didn't expect that thing to be long anyway. I knew that Ricochet was essentially just a sacrificial lamb. I expected that going into it. Now, full disclosure, I didn't watch the show itself. I don't watch those shows out of principle. But I
did for this show.
Yeah, I won't even do that for this show. But reading the spoilers, I got what I expected there. Now, as far as The Fiend and Goldberg goes, You have the hottest heel that you've probably had since, what do you say, since Punk was a heel, probably?
Probably.
And you just squash him to the old guy who's coming in. And I don't hate Goldberg. I'm not hating on Goldberg. Goldberg, that is what it is. It's Goldberg. But it just, to me, it was counterproductive. And
the thing that cracks me up is, sorry, but before Showdown, Roman was actually interviewed and was asked who he would prefer to face at WrestleMania. Flat out, his quote: "I would prefer to face the Fiend. He's busted his ass all year long to get here, and I'm focused on the future."
And I'm not a hardcore Roman hater.
Shit.
No, I'm not.
Archie in here with like throwing some shade, saying he hates Goldberg as much as you hate Omega. That's pretty steep.
Oof. Archie, then I feel your vitriol. I feel your vitriol coming through the screen. But what I was going to say about Roman, I've never been a Roman hater. I hated Roman's push. There's a difference. I don't hate Roman. I think Roman is what he is. He's decent. It is what it is.
Proved.
He has, and I mean, personally, I always thought his most effective run was as the Arn Anderson, I guess, of the Shield. You know, the enforcer of the Shield, but I know I'm getting off topic here. But what I was trying to say was, I would have much rather. I agree with Roman. I think that Roman and Fiend, even though I prefer Roman not being the main event of WrestleMania, if that's what has to happen, a Roman Fiend match to me is much more appealing than this spear fest thing we're going to get here.
I don't think we're going to see Bray getting anywhere close ever again after Friday either, because I don't know if you've seen the whole Twitter fiasco.
No, actually I did not.
Well, Miz and Morrison won the tag belts at Showdown.
Right.
The very next night, they lost clean in the middle of the ring to the Usos. Random fan got on Twitter and was like, "Wow, you have your brand new tag champs lose clean the very next night. You guys just try to kill characters?" Didn't tag a single person. Bray Wyatt replied, "Yes." And I'm just like, oh, yeah. He's not getting back to the top now.
And that would be sad if he didn't, because he's one of the most consistent performers of the past decade. And no matter how they've shit on him over and over and over again, that character, that guy just keeps coming back because of how good he is. And it's, I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't even know what to say at this point, other than I thought that the finish of that match was the wrong decision. And again, I got what I expected from Lesnar and Ricochet. Archie says Vince kills anything he doesn't create. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate. Probably the only one he didn't try to kill that he didn't create was, I don't think he ever really tried to kill off Flair. I think he always treated Flair pretty well. But you're right. Other than that, if he didn't make it, he's indifferent to it. He'll use it. He'll use it while it's there. He'll use it up, like a Rob Van Dam or something. Or if he eventually becomes a fan, like AJ.
Or
but
Matt Hardy with the whole woke and broken.
Yeah, which they ruined that. I think in the WWE. So let's. I had the rant. I don't have as much passion about it as I did the day it happened. But I did say, if you remember, if anybody missed the post, I did say that in a post that I thought that essentially Goldberg coming in and beating the Fiend is like if in '89 they would have had Bruno come in and beat the red hot heel Randy Savage for the title. So instead of going to Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 5, et cetera, to me, it's the same. That if that would have happened, that was the best way I could describe it in my brain. So
I think what's messed up is he, in the process, shit on one of his own creations, though, because he's pretty much taken full claim of Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm. And
Seth Rollins damn near tried to legit kayfabe murder the Fiend on multiple occasions and couldn't get the job done. And this 53-year-old senior citizen came out, 4 spears and a sloppy suplex that they tried to say was a jackhammer, pinned him clean.
yeah, and also Seth is. We'll get to that. Blevin says, hi, Nate. Archie says, bullshit. Oh, about my Flair comment. Bullshit. Have you seen Flair's Hasbro or his retro? How about how Flair lost to Perfect to send him out of the... See, I like that, Archie, though. That was a good angle to send him out, and they had a great match, and Flair didn't go out looking like a chump. I didn't think that was bad. I thought that was a decent way for Flair to go out with that first run. I mean, if you're going to work with somebody, you're going to work with Kurt Hennig on your way out. That's perfect. Mr. Perfect. See what I did there? All right. Anyway. Josh Blevins, how are you, brother? Nice to see you here at We Can't Wrestle Live. So I already commented about Owens and Orton. The Paul Heyman promo on Raw was fun, which he's usually one of the best things about that show.
Yeah, because like I said to you, the best promo line for the week was either Heyman or Jericho.
Yeah. And we'll get to the Jericho line because I know we were talking about it the other day, and I hadn't caught that. So Chris brought that up to me. So we'll bring that up when we talk about AEW. I don't have a lot of notes on Raw, to be honest. I thought that the sit-down interview with Drew McIntyre was kind of lame, and here's why. I like sit-downs. I think sit-downs give it the sports feel, the big fight feel, what have you. It's something different than somebody coming out to their music, cutting a promo for 20 minutes in the ring like they've been doing for 20 years. However, I didn't like this promo because it didn't fit Drew. And that's my worry with Drew right now, is that they're going to try to change him too much. He essentially did an interview where he said, I'm only good because the WWE made me good, is essentially what I took from that interview. And to me, it kills his credibility because he's supposed to be a badass. He should think he's good regardless. If what I'm saying makes sense.
I don't really think it did, in my opinion. I actually liked it.
Okay.
Because he's even said outside of WWE that this run, they're letting him bring more of himself into it. So, like the fact that he brought up the old Chosen One thing and how he's playing the whole, he's bitter that he was told that he was the one, but was never given the shot as the one, and how it messed him up. But then when he left, he realized it was their fuck up and he is that good and he's coming back to prove it. So, I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Now, see, and I don't know.
They're making him human without totally taking out the badass. Like, he's keeping the drive without... Like, if they would have kept with the whole countdown shit in the ring, that would have gotten old real quick. But doing this interview, they're showing that he can still have the fun in the ring because he's out to prove a point that they dropped the ball the first time.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying, but I just picked up a little bit of, if it wasn't for Triple H, Hunter, he's great. I love him. Triple H. Or as Regal used to call him, Triple H, which was always great. But anyway, Asuka, you and I talked the other day a little bit about Asuka and that fun segment. I love that they just let her do that. I don't know. I know some people probably think it's stupid or cheesy or, comedy, but I don't think with her it comes off as fun, but it doesn't come off as she's being treated like a clown. It's just...
the only thing is I almost wish there was like some type of interpreter level to it, because just the way she's delivering, you can tell there's some kind, at least you think it's passion, but you can't tell because you don't understand a goddamn thing she's saying.
Yeah.
Except for like when she stops and when she goes into English, it sounds so goofy. Like when she goes on the whole tirade and she goes, "Act out."
That segment was, I thought it was pretty good overall. The only other a couple notes I have on Raw were, first of all, and okay, I think that Montez Ford is a hell of a wrestler. He's a hell of an athlete. But their gimmick, those guys annoy the shit out of me. It's not, to me, it's not fun. They're not funny. They just annoy me. I don't know what it is about Street Profits. I do know what it is. They annoy me. They just annoy me. And again, I'm not taking away from ability, especially Ford. I think he has potential. I think that he's a really good athlete, but he
needs to teach his wife how to sell.
they're like, I don't know. It's like, for me, they're nails on a chalkboard. I don't know what you think or the viewers think, but
to me, Dawkins just looks sloppy.
Wasn't he the guy that used to come down the ring with the backpack and all that? Was that him in NXT? I think it was him. Like his first gimmick, like he used to come to the ring with a backpack on, and okay, maybe I'm just hitting some obscure shit here, but
maybe I don't know. But we pretty much know my thought process and my feelings about them because we talked about this the other day. Like the whole Street Profit, Bel Air, all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they're doing almost the same type of thing, and it's teetering.
And what Chris is referring to is really, really going intense and hardcore with essentially a stereotype. Is what we're talking about. Being on television, playing a racial stereotype in 2020, and almost in a clownish way. It's not like, it's funny because people will say, well, you could never get away with the Nation of Domination today. No, you probably couldn't. But the Nation of Domination, I never looked at the Nation of Domination as I guess I didn't look at the Nation of Domination as a stereotype, because the people in the Nation of Domination made me believe that's really what they were. They weren't clowning on TV, shucking and jiving for Vince. They were, Ron Simmons, shit. Okay. Damn.
To me, Street Profits are almost Crime Time 2.0.
Very close. At Crime Time with even less edge. And I'm not talking about Adam Copeland. But
Crime Time with solo cups.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. SBA says I agree, and now Montez thinks he's the shit though. So, yeah, again, I think he's a good athlete. I really do. I just think that gimmick does nothing for me, and I know you and I disagree on Bianca. And that's the thing about her is her gimmick is what it is for me. I like her in the ring more than anything. Like, I guess that's why she's over with me. I do like her in-ring work. So, because I know we disagree on her, so I guess we'll bring her up. I guess we won't wait till NXT, because she had a good match with Charlotte. I don't even care for Charlotte very much, but Dave DeRozier says, what's up, fellas? How you doing, Dave? Welcome to We Can't Wrestle Live. So let's, other than that, I just put Seth Rollins' group had promise at the beginning, and now I'm already bored with it and the whole act. And I think I don't know. I don't like where he is right now, I guess. I thought I was going to when he first formed this stable. I was like, well, this is cool. This has potential. And now it seems to me like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because everything on Raw is so fucking boring, but
I was kind of over it when they decided, hey, we have a tag team in this faction, but we're going to put the tag titles on the other members.
The other guys. Well, and I think, you know what? It's funny because I almost think that it's just because Vince McMahon likes to see Seth Rollins with a belt on. It's like they always find a way to get a belt on Seth, whether he's the main champ or not. Vince likes the look of Seth Rollins with a belt around his waist.
Well, the thing that cracks me up is the night they won them and they had the backstage segment. If you watched, because I don't remember which one's which in the AOP, but the one was just standing behind Seth, staring at the belt on his shoulder, like,
Wish that was
I'm
mine.
the fucking tag team.
SB Ace agrees with you, Chris. He doesn't care for Bianca Belair either.
I like SBAs.
All right, so let's move on from Raw is Bore to AEW from this week. And I guess while I did not watch the AEW pay-per-view yet, because I don't pay $50 for a pay-per-view, so I'll watch it illegally sometime this week. But I did read up on it, saw some highlights, but we'll talk about the show really quick. I still think that Excalibur should be gone. Bye. See ya. Go just commentate for PWG again. Just give me Taz and JR as the commentary team for AEW. Comments on my little...
All I know is the show started with that Iron Man, and all I thought was, here comes a half hour of innate aneurysm. And then the smartass part of me, I just want to see a Brian Cage Kenny Omega match.
Really? Why?
So when the crowd does Terminator clap, they both get really fucking confused and they don't know who's cheering for them.
Yeah. Let's see. Josh Blevin says, Nate, little known fact about Roman, Excalibur, and Archie Mitchell, they all suck.
Huh.
I love the Josh Archie rivalry. It makes for some good stuff. Yeah, Pac and Omega Iron Man match. It wasn't terrible. It was decent. So Pac had a good match with a broomstick, and or a clown, whatever. Somebody, who said it? Who said it? I got to check here because somebody didn't grant permission, so I can't actually see. Oh, yeah, there you go. Dave DeRozier says jazz hands.
The only few things that I did pick up about it, I thought it was insane that it took 16 minutes of over the top, and the first fall had to come from a chair shot.
But that's modern wrestling, though.
Unfortunately. And then the other thing I noticed, Jerry Lynn looked really rough.
Yeah. Actually, he was at a.
I had to rewind it. I didn't realize that was him, and I rewound it. I was like, oh, God.
He was at a convention that Aaron and I went to either last year or the year before, and I remember thinking that, like, man, he looks rode hard and put away wet. Damn. God bless Jerry Lynn. Great hand, but shit.
I didn't do much notes at all for the show.
I have a few. I really dig Darby Allin. You and I talked about that the other day too. But that guy, I mean, again, he's the guy that when I first saw him, I expected to hate his living guts. I really did. Like, I am not gonna like this dude. And he is as good as anybody will tell you he is. He's great. They showed
and
a Cody.
The weird thing is, I don't know why yet. I haven't figured out why.
He just has that it factor, and I don't want to jump the gun and say something out of turn. But the way I look at Darby with the it factor is, I'm gonna say he has what a young Jeff Hardy had. If that makes sense. Go ahead. I see it. I see comments in your brain.
No, it's just funny that you say it, because what did I say as soon as they were hinting at Matt leaving and going there to become the Exalted One?
Jeff Hardy's going to AEW.
And as soon as Jeff shows up, everyone's going to say, oh my God, we need a Jeff Darby match.
Yes, and I would watch that. I do. I think that he has. I think that he has that, and sounds like SBA agrees with me. He says that he liked Darby and watched him in other promotions, and he agrees. That's the best way I can describe what I think about Darby Allin. I think Darby Allin is one of the guys that I see in wrestling now that has the ability to take it to the next level without shitting on the business like Kenny Omega.
And the thing is, just looking at him though, you're like, I shouldn't like you.
Yes.
I mean, he's this scrawny, smaller dude. He wears like goth Spanx with Daisy Duke skinny jeans over them for ring gear and half a goth face, and you're just like, I should not like you, but I do, and I don't know why.
Yes, and you're absolutely right, because I don't know why yet. I don't know why yet.
Like, he's one of the few things I will not fast forward through, and I'll actually pay attention when Dynamite's on.
Yep, me too. Him, Cody, MJF. I have to sit through Omega now because I dig Paige. So there's, I'll get to that in a little bit with the interview segment on this show. But yeah, there's those few guys, Jericho, Moxley. That's another fuck up that we'll get to in a little bit.
Kind of like, I don't know why, but I really like Jungle Boy. I
do too. And I like Luchasaurus. I like that act. If they would just get that little girl away or that little boy away from them. That
was one of my notes, the Inner Circle Jurassic Express match. I was like, Stunt is believable as of a threat as an anorexic swoggle fighting Kane.
It looks like... I don't mean to sound mean, but it looks like they're bringing a Make-A-Wish kid to the ring with them.
Maybe he is. You don't know his story. I mean, the dude has his name written in a Rugrats font on his ass.
Blevin says, I thought I was the only one that hated Omega. No, Josh. No. There is much Omega hate right here in this man right here. He is...
Like I said, the thing that aggravates me with Omega is he shows that he can wrestle if he can. I should say he can, and he just so adamantly insists on not.
And
the Bucks are the same way to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the sheer unadulterated hatred for the Bucks that I do for Kenny, because the Bucks, my problem with them is they're just spot monkeys. That's essentially what they are. That's all they do. They're just spot monkeys, and that is what it is. It's not for me, but they don't. Omega literally shits on the business, the way that he presents himself and some of the things that he's done. He makes a joke out of the business that he makes money in. And that offends me. And I'm not even a wrestler. I've never been in a ring. I'm not a part of the business other than doing these podcasts. I'm just a lifelong fan who knows I hate that guy. I don't like the Bucks. I hate Kenny Omega.
See, I like Blevins.
You like Blevins?
Yeah, he hates both of our peoples equally. It's great. Let the hate flow.
I'm going to let everybody know on the We Can't Wrestle podcast this week, and I'll just let everybody know now. Josh Blevins makes amazing wrestling magnets. Oh. No. Maybe cookies. You make cookies, Blevs? Cookies? I want some cookies with my fucking magnets. But now we have... I put down that one of the best segments of this show involved nothing going on in the arena because it was fun just to watch the Cody MJF hype video, because they are so good and that feud has been so well done that just watching it all, watching it all in one little sandwich was wonderful. I loved it. It was great. It was well produced. It was, again, that feud has been, to me, the best thing that company's done so far. Dave DeRozier says, Blevs for president 2020. He'd be better than any of the choices we have. This isn't a political show, though, so I'll just say that and leave it there.
Yeah, I wrote the same thing. The hype package was absolutely phenomenal. I don't know how and I don't, because I'm one of those guys. I don't know MGF from MLW or anything like that. I was introduced by him to him by AEW. So
Mm-hmm. I was a huge mark for him in MLW, but and when this feud started, the way it started, I didn't care for it, and the only reason I say that is because all of the sudden MJF and Cody were friends. All of the sudden, this was on my TV, and then they didn't leave them in a close association for very long, and then they broke them up, and I was like, oh man, that's tough. I like the two performers, but I don't like the way this is starting. But to be honest, it has been so good, it made me forget about the beginning of it.
Well, the thing is, that's all I knew about it too. That was one of the reasons I really started liking MJF, because that one episode where they all came down to like save Cody, and like whenever any of the rest of the elite would try to check on MJF, he was still doing the whole dick like. But as soon as Cody talked to me, he was like, "Oh, buddy." And I mean, just that nuance where he didn't have to, because no one would have really cared at that point, and he still was doing it. I was like, "This dude's awesome."
The Blevin says his favorites in AEW are MJF and Britt Baker, and SBAce says he's a good heel, but I don't care for him. I assume we're talking about MJF.
God damn it, dude.
And then Dave says, anyone else see the hickey on Cody's neck?
That was, yeah.
Now I want.
That's apparently an internet joke going on right now. Is who decided to display the most fucked up, ugly tattoo this week? Because with Jack Gallagher, the picture I showed you of him coming back, and he's completely tatted now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got like this huge, ridiculous sail ship covering his entire upper chest. And like one of the things is like, so the apparent award for worst tattoo this week is going to Jack. And then it shows Cody holding my beer.
I saw a really funny tweet today. I don't know who tweeted it, but it tweeted. Who twittered that tweeted? Twitter your tweet. But it had a picture of Meltzer with that tattoo photoshopped on his neck, and it said Dave Meltzer at the next PWG show. I thought that was funny. All right. So now, on to the sit down. Oh, Archie says Josh Belovin's favorites are cheeseburgers and fries. Cheeseburgers and fries.
I just want to throw this out there real quick. Best friends Butcher and Blade. Don't know why. I told you this already. I dig Butcher and the Blade. I don't know why. I just like the look.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole 4-person match that happened after that, we won't discuss that because that was an absolute vomit-inducing train wreck.
Yes.
Actually, no, because train wrecks have that macabre, I have to keep looking.
This was
don't look, it'll rot your brain and burn your eyes.
This was two ugly people making out on a park bench. You just keep walking. That's not something you want to keep looking at. Bryant Winters says there's a GoFundMe to have Cody's tattoo removed, which is funny. So the next thing that I have written down is Jim Ross really likes Tony Khan's money because he said the Bucks are the best tag team in the world. And for me to hear Jim Ross say that the Bucks are the best tag team in the world, that's tough stuff. Tough stuff.
We also got to remember the Bucks, don't they have like clout position in that company?
Yeah. Yeah. But to hear Jim Ross say that, I was like, oh, JR, cashing them checks. And that's okay. I'm not hating. You know, I have a job too where when I'm on the clock, I'm a company man. So JR's a company man, and that's fine. But for JR to say those two are the best tag team in the world tells me that it's the money that's talking, and hopefully not the wrestling expert that's talking. Oh, Aaron is here. Aaron is in the He's house making comments. He said, I was talking.
Well, because he threw a link earlier that Matt Hardy reportedly makes his decision between WWE and AEW.
Well, I can't look at that right now, but I will. He's probably going to go to AEW, obviously, because he wasn't even on. Actually, did they even mention him on Raw this week? I don't think they even mentioned him. Yeah, I didn't think so. I was pretty sure they didn't, because they I know Owen said what you did to Edge, but I didn't think he ever said what you did to Matt Hardy. So I'm pretty sure he's done with WWE. Oh, Aaron said he was taking an Ed at work and figured he'd share that story. Now he's got to wipe his Leslie. Oh, for those of you that listen to the show, you know how Aaron feels about Brutus Beefcake. That's why we have hashtag Brutus Beefcake Hall of Fame. Just to troll Aaron. But, yeah.
And then finish up Dynamite, the weigh-in.
Yes. And here we go. This is the line. And it was an effective segment. It was an effective segment, to before we get to the funny part. The whole segment in and of itself was effective, I thought. I thought it did a good job of hyping the match, hyping the participants, hyping the story. But Jericho and his one line got Chris, popped him.
Shut your ass.
Shut your ass.
It wasn't even the line. Well, it was the line, but it was the fact that you see old Jericho's shit-eating grin right after it, that he knew it was so absolutely ridiculous, but it was going to work anyway. It was that, haha, I pulled off the most ridiculous shit ever again.
Because that's one of the things that he does. That segment was good. Now, because I haven't watched the pay-per-view. Did you actually watch the pay-per-view, the AEW pay-per-view? No? Okay. I have not watched it either, so we aren't going to discuss the pay-per-view much. Other than I wanted to discuss the main event, because I think that it was a huge mistake, and this is not hating on Moxley. Again, it's one of those. It's a booking thing. It's not about the talent. It was a terrible idea to take that title off of Jericho already. It was a terrible idea. I just think that he needed a lot. Okay, so fantasy booking. This is what I was hoping for. I'll tell you what I was hoping for. What I was hoping for was there had to be a reason that a few months ago they had a stipulation where Cody couldn't get a title shot. So my hope was Jericho is this ongoing heel champion that keeps walking away with the title, and finally he does something to Cody that gets. Do you see what I'm saying? That gets it to where Cody can get a match with him for the title. Old school fucking wrestling storytelling. That's what I wanted here.
Honestly, what I think will happen, I mean, in my opinion, Jericho honestly did so much with the time that he had with that belt already. I mean, look what he's done. He's helped establish everybody in that inner circle.
Mm-hmm. He
put over Moxley ridiculous.
Yes. Oh no, and I'm not. You know what I'll say before I'm going to let you finish. But what I'm going to say is everything about Moxley and Jericho is great, except I don't agree with putting the belt on Moxley now. That's it. I mean, everything they've both done a great job in that company. But go ahead.
What I think is going to happen, because due to Cody losing at Revolution, MJF is now going to figure out a way to go after getting a feud with Moxley. He's going to MJF his way to that belt, and that will be Cody's redemption.
So you think Cody gets MJF for the title? Okay, and that's fine too.
Because that's like the ultimate vindication and redemption for Cody. He gets his belt back, and he gets it back by finally besting MJF.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. I think DeRozier says he can change his name all he wants, but he will always be mid-card Ambrose to me. He just doesn't do it for me. You know what's funny about Moxley is he is like half and half on that for me, Dave. There are times I really like him, and there are times I really don't like him.
I'm kind of biased. I've been a fan of his since he was pink-haired ponytail John Moxley showing up in War Wrestling.
Yeah. I remember.
The first time he came out in War Wrestling and cut his promo there and did like the whole just douchebag heel promo of, I forgot where the hell I was, and then I took a whiff and I realized it was the smell of Lima people.
You know, I haven't been to one of those shows in a long time. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, we're in West Central Ohio, and there's an indie promotion here called War Wrestling. And I used to go to their shows on a very regular basis, and then I haven't been to one of their shows in years. I don't know what made me lose interest. Maybe when they stopped going to the Armory. I don't even know where they do their shows anymore. But we're getting off on shit that our listeners are like, what are they talking about? Later. Yeah. So yes, that I just, again, like I said, I'm not saying that Moxley being the world champion is a bad thing. I personally was hoping for a longer reign with Jericho, and I guess fantasy booking in the back of my mind that we all do. I was hoping for Jericho and Cody because I think that could have been a great feud, and it probably will at some point. But I just think it would have been a great story for Cody to finally be the guy that gets the belt off of Jericho.
I think that would have been too predictable, though.
But sometimes that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it can be predictable. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
You also have to look at their direct yet indirect competition right now is WWE, and they are so stupidly predictable right now. I mean, like honestly, why is there going to be a female elimination chamber match? Because, I mean, is someone other than Baszler really going to win?
Well, probably not. And, I mean, that's a symptom of my least favorite thing in wrestling right now, the cross-pollination of NXT in the main roster. She shouldn't even be in the fucking match. She should be in NXT or on the main roster.
The way they're talking is that she is main roster.
So she's done in NXT?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine. I take back what I just said. I rescind my statement.
Well, another thing that a lot of people, like a lot of like internet rumors have been going is that how do we know? I mean, obviously the shirts were already made. That's the one thing that bugs me about AEW. He threw on that brand new pressed shirt as soon as he won the belt. So everyone's like, okay, so this was obviously, I mean, we know it's predetermined, but goddamn, wear the shirt the next night. Because, I mean, at first, a lot of people were saying, who's to say it wasn't going to be Jericho? But just to be different, since WWE decided, hey, let's have a part-timer and the old guy have our belts, that AEW didn't go, oh, let's not have the old guy keep ours too.
Yeah, but they're old guys. They're old guys. Awesome. I have to tell you, folks, and we did discuss it. They did discuss it. I try to keep my big mouth out of the Asylum Wrestling podcast and stay producer. Every once in a while I have to butt in. But the guys did discuss the AEW figures on the Asylum Wrestling podcast this week. Check it out. And Nate did pre-order the little bit of the bubbly. action figure
Like I
set.
told you, I want him to have like the little talk button on the back where you push it and he actually says it.
That would be cool. Or what if he said, "Oh, I know you would get the shut your ass edition of the little bit."
You say it now. I'm just going to show up one day when you're at work and just yell from across your work. Just shut your ass. I don't care if there's a bunch of customers or not. I'm just going to yell it.
No, you can't return this, sir. Shut your ass. All right, so let me get some comments here. Bryant Winters says, I am a Cincinnati transplant from Virginia. I have adopted Cincinnati as my hometown. A couple of years ago, my stepson and I were featured in the WrestleMania video We Will Rise, and we chose Dean Ambrose as our theme. That's cool. Dave says, I believe Shayna is main roster, but I agree with you, Nate. Keep NXT and WWE separate. Maybe okay around like Survivor Series time. And so, yeah, I just, the cross-pollination, we'll get into the NXT show here, and I'm sure that's going to bring us to the end of the show, but the NXT cross-pollination to me hurts what NXT is, or what it has been, because slowly but surely NXT is getting, and we'll talk about a little bit of that. I think that, I don't know if you noticed this week, Chris, I'm sorry, force a habit. I don't know if you noticed this week. Touche. If this was the 20s, Kyle would be Sleeveless Kyle Ami. See? But the NXT show, as the weeks go on, starts to feel main roster. And I'm not saying it's not boring like SmackDown or Raw are yet. But they're trying to throw in more stupid WWE comedy. It's starting to get that main roster influence. So essentially what happens is you've taken this, I'm trying to think of something to compare it to that was like a cult thing or a really cool thing, and then some corporation got a hold of it and ruined it. Not Star Wars, because I like Disney Star Wars. So any Star Wars people out there, don't say Star. But do you see what I'm saying though? I'm trying to think of something where it's like this. Okay, ECW. It's like ECW. ECW, although I was not always its biggest fan, was different from everything else. And then WWE got its hands on it, and it was worse than everything else. And that's kind of, I don't want to see that happen to NXT, because
and
NXT.
The sad thing is, what made the WWECW so bad was the network, Sci-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So are we saying then that NXT going to USA and making them on a broader platform is making them more commercialized to become homogenized like the other two brands, because
Absolutely.
now they're on a wider spectrum? Do they need to go back to the network?
Yes. I did not like the fact that they even went to the USA Network, because I knew.
Thanks a lot, Cody.
I knew kind of sort of what was going to happen there. Like I saw the writing on the wall. It's like, no, it was almost like NXT was the promotion for those of us that have WWE Network, I guess. It was for us hardcore fans. Yes. And then and I understand why. I understand from a business perspective why they did what they did. But I can already see the corporate shit seeping into NXT. I saw it this week when I watched the show. And again, I don't want to give up. I don't want to say it's going to be bad, but I just, I kind of look at the so the NXT show, I agreed with you on something that we discussed earlier this week. I think that in the match between Dijakovic and Grimes, Dijakovic gave Grimes too much.
The thing is, after like we were discussing it though, and I brought up when you and I talked though, after the Keith Lee wars that he's had, how am I supposed to believe that anybody smaller than Keith Lee is going to have a chance against this man.
Right. Unless
They
it's
have made him into a cybernetic monster that nothing.
Mm-hmm. And I agreed with your assessment on that one. I think that you run the risk with a guy like that if you're building him up like a monster. You run the risk of big showing him. If what I'm saying makes sense, because Big Show became, I mean, the largest athlete in the world, a 7-foot giant that can do a fucking standing drop kick. What? Became just another guy. Became just another guy on the roster. As amazing as Paul White was, what have you, because, I mean, anybody can say what they want about him, and I know he had his stages in his career where he was out of shape and et cetera, et cetera. But for a big man, for the guy his size, what he could do in the ring is absolutely insane and amazing, an amazing athlete. But they took that attraction and they made him just another guy on the roster. And yes, I can see what you're saying here. You run the risk with a guy like this, who I think is an amazing athlete for his size, of bringing him down to everybody else's level instead of leaving him up at his own level, I guess is what I'm saying. Balor. Finn Balor. Bipolar Balor. I like heel Finn Balor, but I got half heel, half baby. I got two-face Finn Balor here. Now,
I told you he was heel, and then all of a sudden got beat up by heels to the point where he was. That's why I was like, so since Johnny went heel, Finn's face by default.
I don't get me wrong, I look forward to the possibilities of a Finn Balor Walter match. I think that could be fucking amazing. But could we have, I don't know, not done this all in one segment? You know what I mean? Like, could we have built this over a couple of weeks or something to...
Well, then I started to feel bad because I don't keep up on UK, so I was like, wait, is Walter a face?
Not to my knowledge.
I was like, no, wait, when's the last time there was ever a face faction? That's not a face thing. No, he's got to be a heel. So why are the heels kicking the heels' ass? Who am I supposed to be cheering right now?
SBA says always like Finn, but now he is face again. Yep, and I agree, Ace. I like Finn Balor too. I don't mind him being a face, but I just think that we could have taken more.
He's not going to be like Salesman Smiles face again,
right? We could have. I just think we could have taken more than 2.5 minutes to turn him face. I guess I think we could have told a longer story, maybe, to get to this. But yeah, it was like bipolar Finn in that segment. We had the Ciampa Theory segment. I know I'm starting to rush through this because we're at 53 minutes now. Chris and I talked earlier this week about how it was going to be hard to keep the show at an hour this week.
But you also said we could run over a little bit.
I did, but Daddy's got to work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
But yeah, I just pretty much said I'm not a big fan of Mia Yim, so I didn't really make notes on that. I don't think she's.
She doesn't do anything for me either. Like nothing.
The dream promo. I thought it was kind of retarded that we're going to say he had a broken back and he's back already. I'm thinking the vignettes, like I told you, I think they're going to be Killer Cross.
Once I saw them, I agree. I think that's where we're going with that.
Theory, Ciampa, they've made me take interest in Theory, and again, I didn't watch Evolve, so I don't know anything about him, but...
Dave comments, the only thing I could maybe hate more than Omega is waking up for work on a Monday morning. You know what? It's finding out there are a lot of closet Omega haters in the We Can't Wrestle community. I'm liking it. We're going to get a t-shirt. We Can't Omega. That's what we're going to call it. So I have a question. We're talking about, because I think this is the next segment because you just mentioned Theory. And I haven't seen a lot of him either, but he does look pretty impressive.
He's got a very defined look.
Yes. And
I don't even remember what it was, but I wrote down that knee. Damn.
Apparently it impressed you at the moment.
So I don't remember who did the knee, but I'm guessing it was like a holy shit impact with the knee. I don't know who did it to who, but apparently it was really good.
The we had another weird one here. So you had the grizzled young veterans. Okay. The Forgotten Sons are all of a sudden baby faces? Like, what happened there? Did I miss something?
Marca. Literally, that's it. Because the grizzled young veterans were making fun of the U.S. fans. So, Marca.
But once again, here we go, just like Finn Balor. And this is what I'm saying. Like, we're getting these little things in NXT where I'm like,
But they plugged it last week, though. So, I mean, you had a week to know that this was coming.
Oh, a whole fucking week. I'm sorry.
Better than 2.5-minute promo.
This is true. They were getting.
I'm just wondering, why don't they let Riker wrestle?
I don't know.
I like him as Gunner in TNA.
This is what I'm saying. I did not. If 6 months ago, my notes honestly would probably not have had near as many complaints about NXT. And I don't like to be. I'm not a bitcher, guys. I'm really not. But there's little things, like I said, that I think are going to ruin this brand if they continue to let them happen. And this could be, because it's only been a few weeks, this could be just weird, because, sometimes NXT does go through a weird time because they go through a transition of people leaving NXT and going to the main roster, and they're trying to figure out whose characters do what and what's going on. SBAce, you and SBAce agree on a lot there, Chris, because he says, yep, same on Gunner.
And to jump back real quick, because I want to hurry up and have us be able to do a zip through SmackDown yet. Reed and Dane, my opinion, that is how you do a hoss fight.
Mm-hmm.
They did big moves, but unlike Dominic and Keith at TakeOver, when they hit each other the big move, they knew they hit each other with a big move.
Right.
They were down. And I don't know why. Reed, for me, same way with like how I am with Darby Allin. I don't know why, but I'm digging Bronson Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Now, full disclosure, so I'm going to let you run through this, and I will react, and we'll end the show. I didn't watch SmackDown. I haven't watched it yet. The work got me this weekend, so I didn't get to watch SmackDown. So, I'll give my thoughts on things if there's anything you think that I should give my thoughts on.
Okay, and just to finish up NXT real quick, I found it rather comical that when Rhea came out at the end, she was just not in a rush whatsoever. And if you notice, the ref pushed her toward the ring, almost like he was like, TV time, get the hell in there.
Go, champ, go.
But, okay, Friday Night SmackDown, we started off with the Goldberg promo where he came out. I think they should have made him heel it up, talk shit on the Fiend, talk shit on the current roster, say that it took an old school guy to come in, make him the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. He just came out and said it's not about who's last, it's about who's next. Roman's music hit, like I said at the beginning of the show. 4 minutes to come out to the ring, get in the ring, get in his face. I'm next. Drop the mic and left.
I didn't miss much there.
Opening match, Bayley versus Naomi, apparently again. Bayley, our women's champion, didn't even get an entrance. We came back with commercial. She was already in the ring. Naomi comes out, and then she was like, oh, wait, no, I already beat you. I'm here to introduce a future Grammy winner. Sasha's back. So they wound up having a match, and then they wound up beating down on her, and then Lacey ran out, so the female ref apparently decided they can make matches and said it's now a tag match. So we had that match. Good old 50-50 booking. Guess who won? But ironically, I made a comical note that Naomi did the rear view on SmackDown. For some reason, we didn't see a rear view happen at Super Showdown. I wonder why. And my theory for WrestleMania because at this point there's nobody left for Bayley unless they're going to try to do a rushed 5-week Sasha turn on Bayley. Someone's been out since October with an Achilles injury. That's 5 months. Usual recovery is 4 to 6. I'm going to call Ember Moon is going to make a return and go after Bayley.
I could see that, and it would be a good match. Yeah, although Bayley should never be a heel, but anyway, that's beside the point. I've already moaned and pissed and moaned about that for ages.
And then we had Bobby Roode going against Kofi Kingston, and I actually wrote, "Holy shit! I forgot Bobby Roode had his own music." And they actually made a reference that Corey Graves used to wrestle. That was kind of shocking. And the best part about this match, you would appreciate it because it was like a very reminiscent of an old school heel tactic. We had Ziggler and we had Big E ringside, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Rude went out of the ring. Ziggler's distracting the ref, and you're like, what the hell? Big E and Rude are arguing, and Rude just smirks at him, kicks the shit out of the stairs, and for the first time ever, the ref heard something. Turns around, Rude drops and is holding his head, like selling the hell out of it. He was like, "You that?" And Big E's like, "No, you're out of here." And it's great because Rude glances up for a second and sees the ref still looking. He's like, "Ow, ow."
Some Eddie shit. I like that.
It was very retro heel. I was like, "Oh my god, this is great!" And I knew you would like it, but you didn't get to see it.
I didn't get to see it.
But I was like, we need continuity in this because we're going to have that ref hear something outside the ring, but they don't notice when they bounce in the ring from a back from behind.
Yeah.
During the match, we see Mandy watching the TV, and then afterwards, because Rude picks up the win, Sonya comes up and she's like, "Oh, your man seems happy." And of course, the fans are gonna be like, "No, that is Otis is her man." And then we see Otis backstage doing his moping, and Tucky sits next to him. Tucky sits next to him, and he's very. Sometimes the guy doesn't get the good. It's almost. I'm hoping that the vibe I'm getting isn't right. It's almost starting to give the vibe that Tucky did it, and I don't want them to split up machinery already.
No, God, no. It's way too early for that.
But it's almost that kind of vibe because he's very. You just need to move on, and everything. It's just very odd. And then he was like, "Next week we're going to take you out to where no one, for people that'll never choose Dolph over you, get you back out to the universe." So we'll see you next week. Then we had contract signing for Braun and Shinsuke. Braun in street clothes and dry hair not tied back. He has the biggest mullet I've ever seen in my life. But they do a little spiel back and forth. Renee Young's actually doing the contract thing. That was kind of weird. But Braun winds up saying, "Just give me the damn contract. I don't care what it says. I'm going to wind up having to fight all through you anyway. I don't care." And Sammy's like, "Oh, you don't care?" And it was just right after Braun signed it. He's like, "Oh, and you said you'll fight us all? Okay." And he scribbles their names on it. So now it's going to be it's going to be a handicap 3-on-1.
Handicap match, yeah.
We know what's going to happen. But Sammy actually got in 2 haluva kicks on Braun. I was like, oh god, Sammy actually does remember how to wrestle. That's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And then we had Daniel Bryan versus Curtis Axel. And Gulak was helping Axel this week. So I don't know where we're really going with this Gulak-Bryan thing. I'm interested to see it. Mizmo came out, did a promo celebrating, and then it was announced we're going to be having a tag team Elimination Chamber match. At which point I forgot that Lucha House Party was still a thing.
Yeah, I thought they got released or something.
Yeah, I did too. Apparently not. But that was the match that they lost clean to the Usos in the middle of the ring, right after winning the belts. And then to end the show, we had the Cena return.
Yes,
He
which
came
I read
out-
about. I read about that deal, and saw
Yeah,
some pictures.
Yeah, he did a big promo. Ironically, he pretty much said the exact same thing that he knocked The Rock for saying back when The Rock said that WWE would always be his home and all this and all that. Pretty much exact same thing. And he said that he didn't deserve a spot at WrestleMania, that you have to work for it and everything else. Cena's not going to be in this WrestleMania. He doesn't know when he'll see us again, but he loves us all, blah, blah, blah. And he put the mic down and went up the ramp, did his salute. Where are you? There's the Fiend standing behind him, and for some reason we have to have the Fiend point to the WrestleMania sign.
Boo! I'm actually, if I can't
The most awkward point ever.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I can't have Fiend as champion to close the show out, I will say a comment here. Unfortunately, even though I think that John Cena is going to beat the Fiend at Mania, I hope he doesn't. I hope Cena does the good thing and puts Fiend over. But I am actually looking forward to the meat of that match. I do like those guys together. I think they work well together. I'm actually looking forward to that match, so I'm not going to hate on it. I just hope Cena puts Fiend over. That's all I can say about that.
I hope so too.
So, any final thoughts, final words on this edition of We Can't Wrestle Live, Mr. Wood?
After the 4.5 minutes of utter shit that Vince decided to give us this week, it can't go anywhere but up next week, right?
Hopefully. We're going to hope. Want to thank all of you for joining us on We Can't Wrestle Live. And just a reminder, go out, check out The Asylum, episode 6. The Asylum Wrestling Podcast is out there right now. Also, this week we will be recording episode 89 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, where we will talk about our top 10 favorite intercontinental champions of all the times. And again, there's a contest going on in the page right now for anybody who invites someone to our Facebook group or subscribes to our YouTube page. And I will be making a big box of crap from my collection, Boxo stuff, for the winner of a drawing. I'm keeping track of who's doing what, and we will have a winner that is ending on Wednesday at midnight. Thank you all for joining Chris and I here tonight for another edition of We Can't Wrestle Live. We will see you next week. And again, like I said, stay tuned for more and more shit this week. We'll see you next time around, folks, on We Can't Wrestle